You know, Sony Animation has been doing really well this decade. Okay, sure, sure. In the past, when they first started off, they weren't considered as one of the best animation studios, where their films was range from decent or mediocre best, uh, as two pretty bad at most. It was even from West when they released is that what made people agree on what their worst movie is of all time, the Emoji Movie. However, ever since they released Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in 2018, that's when and the studio will change for the better. So, and while they have released some pretty middle, it's a bad. Since that I featured like West Dragon, Gun Fixed, and maybe Hotel Transylvania. I've yet to rewatch that one to be short. Well, it doesn't change the fact that I loved most of their movies in the 2020s. From the Mitchells versus the Machines to Vivo, to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, us to K-pop Demon Hunters. I consider all four of those films to be absolute masterpieces. It says, and now Sony's releasing their newest animated feature, Goat. Which is not only the first film in cinema since Across the Spider-Verse, but their first original film in cinema since the start back in 2017. And I know many people think, what about K-pop Demon Hunters? Because that was released in last year. Technically, yes, but that was a Netflix film that became so big that Sony had no choice or but to release a sing-along version in cinemas. So that doesn't really count as much. Now, Go is their first proper original film in cinema, but since the start, and honestly, looking into this film, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was loving the concept that was being presented, and the animation was looking awesome, but the trailers weren't doing anything to sell me that this would be a fantastic feature or one of Sony's best. As it didn't do a good job of making me think, oh, this is going to be the next K-pop Demon Hunters, or this is going to be the next Spider-Verse or something. At most, it just looked like a decent, at best, sports film. But I'm always willing to give any movie a chance. And whether I'm excited for it or not, the only way I'll know if a film's good or bad is if I give it a watch. And I can definitely say Go is a good film, but that kind of the thing that pissed me off. Oh, yes, I thought Goat was good. However, but I was really annoyed because when I finished the film, I could have seen how this could have easily been one of Sony's best movies, and yet at the most we got was good. Good leaning more towards decent. So this is definitely nowhere near a bad film per se. But I said, but it isn't a thing that I would say is among Sony's best. I'll start with the positives of what I really liked from the film, and I might as well get into one of its strongest aspects, the animation. It seems like Sony has taken the Spider-Verse style and has used it as their new main animation style. I understand if this is a style that will start, to feel it'll play in an OV for you. Used more Sony ends up using it in the next coming years, but that doesn't change the fact that I still love this style, and this film looks phenomenal. Or even when it comes to the designs of the characters, the best way to describe it is if you take the animals from Zootropolis and put a comic book filter over them, showing them more rougher lines and sketch edge marks around the character to that battle also be a bit more realistic with the details to make them stand out. It's honestly a style I really love the character. I really well on them. Another thing that makes the characters great it's great to look at is that character animation. And so only did not hold back on making in these characters as fluid as possible. Or that whenever they have to move at a fast pace, they make the movements as smooth, and as energetic as possible, or to make you invested with those moments. I also think this is one of Sony's best looking worlds in an animated feature. It really does. I think I could what I'll make what Anthem more to animals can exist in, and does a good job to stand out from any different from world. But the truth is of the animation that made this film, and whilst watching were the Rollerball games. Whenever the characters play Rollerball, that's when the film is at its best. As for some intense and exciting moments that get you really invested in the game. And it also helps that at the state any rooms are offered their own obstacles throughout the entire feature. Where it's never feels like the same type of course, and how they can have their own dangers and conditions that can add to the intensity of the games. And this is why some of my favourite moments of the games were when they were playing on this Arctic Stadium and this fiery volcano stadium in the climax. They were the moments that really helped to get me invested with the feature. And like I said before, I really love the concept of this film. The animation really did make the most of the Rollerball game. Aims to make them seamless, the true highlights of the entire feature. And did a great job explaining how Rollerball is basically basketball in art, well, with a bit of an anthropomorphic animal twist, and how it can be a lot more intense and exciting than just an average basketball game. So yeah, this film has all the materials needed to make a fantastic animated feature. So why did I say that this film is good, but it is a good film that should have been great? Well, when we get into the characters in the story, you will understand why. I might as well start with what the film considers to be the main character, to Will L. Harris. And honestly, when the film is focusing on him and his side of the story, that's where the film kind of falls flat. He's definitely not a hateable protagonist per se, but he's the generic underdog of character, the one that you'd seen these sports films that wants to prove himself as a star, but is often looked down on because he's a small and older big. Some people think he's way too small to play the game. Whenever the film focused on Will and his side of the story, that's when it made me the least interested. I was not invested with anything that was going on with his side of the story, because I have seen it before in many different sports films. Um, um, from the protagonist being looked down on because of history into unimproving himself out to get. I think what he needs is to make his dream come true. To doubting if he's really good enough for this dream. It leaves a sense of been there, done that in all these types of sports and film. It's where the film is at its most dull and most predictable in the feature. But then there is another character that this film focuses on Jet Fillmore, Will's idol. And I gotta say, I think this film would easily become one of Sony's best films if they focused on her instead of Will. While she is considered to be a fantastic rollerball player, she has never led her team to fall onto a claw, which is like this was about I should have a trophy. When many people are questioning if she really is as good as she wants to be, and if she is the true GOAT of the sport, or to the point where people think it would be best if she decides to retire. Whenever the film is focusing on her, that's when I felt really invested of everything that was going on her side of the story, or it really did a good job of having me feel emotionally invested, as it did with the film. A main reason why it's fun and actually the fantastic performance by Chloe. I think I pronounced it right. The rest of the actors did do a great job with their. The rest of the voice actors did do a great job with their performances, but Yoongun easily stood out as the best actor to show her style to Jet, and how she can be a great character. And it's clearly noticeable in this film, that the film really wants to make her seem like the main character. The first half of the film I was not really invested in because it was focusing on Will. But the second half is why the film started to pick up for me. However, the thing is, the film started to get better when it focuses more on Jet. If the film had Jet as the protagonist, as the beginning, as this GOAT, as this great player that has to question with if she is good enough to continue, and if she should retire, to the point where he becomes the mentor and trainer to a new athlete equal or the GOAT, which is a GOAT, out in the small, or I probably would have found this film to be much better than it was. So yeah, Jet is a fantastic character, easily the best thing to come out of the film, but I wish the film was focused more on her than on Will. As for the rest of the characters, as their roles are very hit and miss. This is mainly shown with the other members of the Thorns. Ones where they have their own archetypes. You got Lenny as the big giraffe that tries to start a music career. Archie, the bit who's also a father trying to control his rebellious twin daughters. To Olivia, the ostrich that grows anxiety because she is obsessed of her image of social media. yeah, I love both the crate, alien, and reptiles. Oh, 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 who also does end up as the funniest character in the film, which does lead me to a point where where the humour is a bit of hit and miss. There are times when the film can be funny, especially with Modo, though his moments were easily the funniest parts of the entire film. Each of them, and one of the moments I was constantly laughing at. But whenever the film tries to be funny, besides that, the comedy does honestly fall flat. And is where you can find some of the film's stellar jokes. As for some of the other characters in the feature, they're the type of archetypes you get in this get in a film like this. There's Flo, who's the AD manager of the Thorns, Lenny, the coach that regains his passion for the thing he loves of spellbook coaching, and main attraction as the main rival villain that wants revenge and will after he publicly humiliated him. So, oh yeah, at the characters aren't bad, but they could have been better. So overall, Goat is a good film, but it still annoys me because I see a phenomenal thing from here. There are some things about this film that are absolutely fantastic. Things like the amazing animation, intense audible games, and great voice acting, and an intriguing concept. However, there are a lot of things that hold it back. From a weak underdog story, to generic side characters, to not decide having a full focus on who its main character should be. Like I said before, this is a good film, and one that is worth watching at least once. I would definitely recommend this to sport or its fans, and especially those who are fans of basketball, as they will be the ones that will get the most out of the feature. However, I would recommend to set extra expectations back if you are expecting this to be the next Sony Animation masterpiece on the lines of K-pop Demon Hunters and Across the Spider-Verse, because this film is definitely fully not that. Go is a good film, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely a film that won't be considered the Go of Sony Animation in a long time. And that's why I'm giving this feature a very low 7 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!